The Jedi Order is always keen on keeping their members as far away from the dark side as possible, believing that even a taste of it could forever corrupt their destiny. We have seen in many cases over the years from how many Jedi fell away from the light due to feelings of being constrained within the confines of the Order. However, there was one single sect of Jedi that were allowed to learn and even practice some dark side teachings. These were the Jedi Shadows, a name that we have a few times before discussed on the channel within these archives, but haven't yet fully delved into. The Jedi Shadows were a subcategory of the Jedi Sentinel, which was the third path that a Jedi could take in their walk within the Order. In this video, we will be talking about these Jedi Shadows, their duties, their skills, and why they were actually allowed to practice the dark side, as well as why they were the most feared by Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine. Before we get into it though, the Force has been speaking to us, and we sense that many of our followers have not yet subscribed to the channel. Be wise, my friends, and hit that subscribe button so that you may always have access to our knowledge of the galaxy. Now, let's delve into it. The Jedi Sentinels as a path have always been the strangest of the typical walks of a Jedi and one that they can take. A vast majority of Jedi younglings opt for the way of a Guardian, they who represent the Order in the wider galaxy as the Peacekeepers, and frontlines fighters of truth and justice. The second most popular is that of the Jedi Consular, the Consulars who were devoting themselves to the study of the galaxy and the uncovering of all of the mysteries of the Force. The Sentinels, though, are those who carry the philosophy that the Force can only carry one so far when trying to keep peace and be an effective Jedi. Sentinels augment their knowledge of the Force with practical skills, such as computer hacking and slicing, as well as undercover missions, investigation, object tracking, and even espionage. These guys are the secret agents of the Jedi Order, they who live among the masses and seldom stay in the temple. Their skills allow them to seamlessly blend with the common people of the galaxy, which is what made them exceptionally difficult to locate after Order 66. As stated by Sentinel Morat Chigali, one of the unspoken truths of the Jedi is that we are insulated from the workings of the galaxy. In my view, it's possible to know too much about combat or the Force if it means that you know next to nothing about the intelligence gathering, computer slicing, technological surveillance, or espionage that the Sentinels conduct. Sentinels approach this discipline from the bottom up without assuming that the Force will reveal all answers to them. A curious and rather interesting take on how the Order works was Master Chigali, who was essentially saying that he believes if a Jedi doesn't have a rich repertoire of practical skills and they rely entirely on the Force, that they are inept when it comes to situations when the Force itself is not an option. We've seen many Jedi get in binds where they aren't able to use the Force, and where some Jedi simply crumble, others, like the Sentinels, thrive. In fact, a Sentinel will rarely activate their yellow lightsabers, sometimes even less than Consulars do. In the Thrawn novels, Luke Skywalker finds himself trapped on a planet full of Yasa-lamari, creatures that can project a field that nullifies the use of the Force. It was only through Luke's practical tech skills and creativity with the mundane was he able to escape captivity. In this instance, Luke proves that Master Chigali said all along was correct. Anyway, Sentinels, unlike other Jedi classes, actually don't move from system to system in search of problems to fix. Rather, they are assigned a sector or a planet in which they stick to, becoming its watcher and protector, hence the name Sentinel. Within the Sentinel class, there are many subgroups, which brings us around to the topic of the video today. The Jedi Sentinel Shadows. The Jedi Shadows are a subclass that operate much differently than the other Sentinels do, and even any other Jedi in the Order. Shadows work directly under the Council of First Knowledge, which, if you remember, is one of the lesser councils in the Order. The Council of First Knowledge directly oversees the workings of the archives, and are the ones to seek out knowledge and artifacts from the wider galaxy. It is their branch that handles Jedi Seekers, which are those who actually go out and find Force-sensitive children. But this council also deals under the table, dispatching the Jedi Shadows into the galaxy. To put it simply, a Shadow's job was to seek out and eradicate all traces of the dark side in the galaxy. This can be anything from destroying Sith artifacts to hunting down and assassinating those who actively practice the dark side. They often wield double-bladed yellow lightsabers or saber staffs, and are the sect of Sentinels that we see in battle the most. In fact, it is arguable that the Jedi Shadows engage in battle more frequently than even the Guardians do. As a result, Shadows are the last of the Jedi permitted to wear armor, which comes in the form of leg and chest plating. Jedi battle armor is something that we have covered before on the channel, and has significance that carries with it, but we'll get into that in a minute. Jedi Shadows are selected from only the most elite of Sentinels, meaning it isn't a path that any Sentinel can simply choose. They must be chosen. They go through rigorous training processes, which make them expert hunters and masters of combat. I like to think of the Shadows as Jedi Inquisitors, and they essentially serve the exact same function, down to even using the dark side. Yes, my friends, ironically, the same group of Jedi who are tasked with destroying all traces of the dark side are trained in its very ways. However, they aren't primarily trained in its full use so much as a sort of know thy enemy type of deal, similarly to what we discussed yesterday. Often, Jedi in the Order aren't told enough about the dark side for fear of them falling to it and victim to it. As a result, many Jedi buckle when they're faced with real darkness. They have only been warned of the dark side, but never told how it truly operates or even looks when it ultimately manifests itself. Many Jedi, especially by the time of the Clone Wars, have no idea the extent of danger and powers of they who have been devoted to the darkness. Rather than correct this oversight, the Jedi Council seem to have decided to delegate this knowledge only to the Shadows. They know the dark side better than any other Jedi, and as such, they can sniff it out like bloodhounds. They cannot be overcome by the dark because they are familiar with it, and can use it against the other wielders. This isn't without side effects though. Jedi Shadows are loners, and are often operating on their own, without the aid of the wider council. This is because their sensing of the dark side can frequently manifest into paranoia, and some Jedi Shadows have been known to feel the dark side in everything around them, including other Jedi. This makes them suspicious, jumpy, and even a little violent. As such, the Jedi employ the Shadows sparingly and make sure that it is a well thought out action before getting these strange members of their order all riled up and ready to go. My opinion of the Jedi Shadows, though, is that they were a grossly underused aspect of the Jedi Order, and I don't just mean their employment, but rather the way they think and operate. I can't help but to point out the hypocrisy in the Order once more as they preach against using the dark side in any capacity, and yet they're sitting on the elite group of paranoid assassins that have been set up purely for violence. Throughout all the changes to the Jedi Order with the Ruusan reformation and the banning of using armor, the Shadows are something that has never changed. In fact, the High Council even kept the Shadows something of a secret from the rest of the Jedi Order. Many Jedi knew about them for sure, but they were more like rumors and stories that was passed from master to youngling and then spread around the Order. They were not actually something that many Jedi interacted with, much less knew anything real about. I feel as though the doctrine of the Jedi Shadows and the overall sights of the Sentinels is something that could be beneficial to all Jedi in the Order. Perhaps they would be more vigilant because of the insight of the Shadows. But my friends, what do you think of the Jedi Shadows? Would you like to see them represented on the big screen or in more comics? And do you agree with our assessment and think that more knowledge on the dark side could be taught within the Jedi Order sparingly? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, be mindful, and may the Force be with you.